I'm approaching my sermon with a bit of humor today because, in fact, I wasn't supposed to be preaching on this topic. Yes, I was on the roster, and yes, I knew that I was going to preach today. I was supposed to talk about Christ the King because that's the commemoration on the Episcopal liturgical calendar. But see, my initial research on the gospel was based on resources that were Lutheran, not Episcopalian. Based on the Lutheran liturgical calendar, today is Reformation Sunday, commemorating the day when Martin Luther went up to the Catholic Church with his 95 Theses and stuck it to them, quite literally. And so I feel the word that we have today wasn't something we planned to have, but maybe we're meant to have. In our story today, Jesus serves up a word that epitomizes just that, something that we didn't plan, but were meant to receive. He challenges his followers that if they were really in it for the long haul and abided by his word, then they would find truth and thus be freed. Now, Jesus' ministry wouldn't be what it is if it didn't cause some controversy. The controversy here is about how freedom comes to us. It's not something earned or conditional based on who we are. It's the same word of Martin Luther's theses, that everyone is free to participate in grace without earning, buying, or being born into it. I like how Jesus makes this cause and effect relationship with truth and freedom. It is the truth of God's freely given love that sets us free, the truth that brings freedom. I think about the many truths I've come to know that have liberated me. For example, I've come to know that my physical body holds a wisdom that I am not conscious of, sometimes because it is always in the works keeping me alive. Knowing this truth enables to listen to myself more deeply, to treat myself not as my enemy, but as my best friend. Honoring this truth frees me to know self-grace, that every cell of my being is doing the best it can because God made it so. So as you can see, for the God of life, truth and the freedom it brings matters. It matters to God that we be liberated from patterns of harm and injustice because we cannot live under lies. It just can't happen. And Jesus knew that. The gospel truth on this surprise Reformation Sunday is that the freedom afforded to us is by grace and grace alone. The price for that freedom was put on a single life, Jesus, and he paid it willingly, freely, without shame. This is a kind of freedom that may feel strange and hard to feel comfortable with because we've been enslaved to a different reality. You can tell that's the case with Jesus' audience and their response to this holy truth. Free? Free from what? I thought I already was free. Keep in mind that how we respond to something reveals our relationship to it. When questioning this freedom, this audience counters that they are children of Abraham. They are already promised salvation simply by lineage. We live in a world where we are taught that freedom comes at a cost and must be earned. We have the freedom to vote now, but at the cost of wars fought and slave labor extracted by others in the past. To afford economic freedom, others have had to pay the price of sustaining intergenerational harm by oppressive systems of economy. So it seems that we may experience some sense of what freedom feels like, but not in the ways that God intended it. I don't think that God wanted some parts of the world to suffer for others to receive freedom, because the truth is that God liberated all of humanity, called all of us chosen. During my year with my intentional community, one moment that I hold so dear to my heart is the conversation that we had about the onslaught of violence on the many Black lives this year. It was heart-wrenching and sometimes incoherent because we were all holding so many emotions and reactions. The only thing we could do was to talk about it to each other without judgment. We really leaned into what this meant for all of us as participants of not only social justice circles, but of this country, of this generation and this world. It was a moment of integrity for all of us to share that we were both complicit and victims in complex ways. And there, at that table, the legacy of white supremacy culture was disrupted momentarily as we made ourselves vulnerable before and accountable to each other. What cemented this moment was the fact that we were all deserving of the chance to heal, recover, and thrive. All of us are worth the messy process of undoing oppressive ways of thinking and being, because we all have been chosen to know God's unending grace and restoration. On this Reformation Sunday, I hear God saying to us, freedom matters to all creation and systems in this world. Continue learning and practicing my teachings of love. You will know my truth, and my truth will set you free. There's a new way of living, one where we don't have to withhold grace to others and to ourselves. And we get to model Jesus, where our choices are by our own free will, free of shame. We all live by a grace seen and unseen, and it's up to us to live into the calling of liberation so that this new reality will be our current one. Amen.